Good evening to our fellow listeners and followers. Tonight is Sunday, May 26th at 7:59 p.m. This is Federico Lines of States Rights Radio. My podcast partner, Seth Hancock of Hancock Reports, is not here right now. He's on vacation, but we'll be back next week on Sunday, June 2nd. Tonight, this special podcast is Memorial Day. What does Memorial Day mean to you? And I would like to know what Memorial Day means to you and what Memorial Day means to me, and how we can have this good honest debate to what is Memorial Day. So let's take a little short break, and I'll be playing some, memorial war songs to, show support for Memorial Day, and let's see what we can come up with. All right, I'll be right back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Let's Remember Pearl Harbor, and that's another of our songs that we're going to play along to honor the fallen men and women of our armed forces that fought in wars, whether constitutional or not. They still need our support and our thanks to the fallen men and women of arms of our armed forces. When I think of Memorial Day, I think of the individuals that, were forced into a draft, or they went into the draft and they fought for our country, no matter what the cost would be. And I don't, every Memorial Day we always get into this political debacle and who is the more patriotic individual, and it's really sad where they use such a very special day to honor our men and women who died into something political, and quite frankly they shouldn't, because it's quite distasteful where you see Barack Obama or George W. Bush or Mitt Romney or Donald Trump or Joseph Biden, see who carries the wreath at Arlington National Cemetery to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. It really is, very tribalism and disgusting to see that, because this is a time where we have to honor our veterans and not to play politics. So I really, as much as I really despise that, I really can't. I really hate when people do that, because it's just, very it's just distasteful. But we can discuss what wars were constitutional or not by congressional approval of war, and it's sad we're now today, and we're going to get to it in a little bit in our second segment, where what really constitutes a constitutional war and what really constitutes, we should always give thanks to these men and women of our armed forces, no matter what, whether this war was fully approved by Congress or just a resolution empowered by the War Powers Act of 1973. So we need to really dive into that, because people nowadays, no matter what it is, people serving in Iraq or Afghanistan or over there right now in Israel or wherever, we need to really stop playing politics and really start focusing on the Constitution, because that's what really we need to do. We need to stop playing politics. That's basically it. So let me take a short break, and we'll be right back in discussing constitutional wars and unconstitutional wars.
Fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die, men who mean just what they say, the brave men of the Green Beret, silver wings upon their chest. These are men, America's best. 100 men will test today, but only 3 win the Green Beret. Trained to live off nature's land, trained in combat hand to hand, men who fight by night and day, courage take from the Green Beret, silver wings upon their chest. These are men, America's best. 100 men will test today, but only 3 win the Green Beret. Back at home, a young white waits. Her Green Beret has met his fate. He has died for those oppressed, leaving her this last request. Put silver wings on my son's chest. Make him one of America's best. He'll be a man they'll test one day. Have him win the Green Beret.
And that was a ballad of the Green Berets. Before we continue with that segment, here is another one to show that we support all our armed forces, and we will play almost all songs of our 5 branches of the military. And that was Anchors Away, the naval theme song, Anchors Away. So we were discussing what constitutes a war, and should we still give thanks to our fellow men and women at arms, even though they're fighting unconstitutional wars. Yes, because, the armed forces, the naval forces, Air Force, Coast Guards, even the new Space Force that Trump created. Oh, Lord have mercy. But, we all should give thanks and not be political about it. But, it's very sad that after 1945, Congress really hasn't approved any formal declaration of war. If it was, 1941 was the last official declaration of war. You had the First World War. You had the Spanish-American War. So it's you had the Mexican War. So it's very sad to see that Congress are not abiding by the Constitution. Congress are just saying to the president, to the executive branch, take us to war. Doesn't matter what you do, just take us to war and then come back to us and give us your report, and maybe we'll give you more funds. And quite honestly, that's not how you're supposed to do it. That's not really what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to, the executive branch has to go to Congress for that approval to give the funds and the support it needs to go into combat. So it's very sad to see the United States Congress and senators and legislators, approve these measures or not approve these measures, and just have the executive branch run arrogant and rogue in whatever it wants. And quite frankly, it really upsets me because, I still support our men and women of the armed forces, because they are innocent individuals that are taken to combat, into a battle scene that has not been fully approved by Congress as stated in the Constitution. So the next time, you say thank you to a fellow soldier. Don't say thank you to a congressman or a senator, because they are not doing it intelligently and logically and right. They're really not. So it really upsets me when you see congressmen like Mark Foley and Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham, the chicken hawk of Congress, because they're all chicken hawks. They're not war hawks. They're chicken hawks. They never once served in the military. I haven't served in the military because I have a medical condition, but I would gladly serve in the military if I didn't have this medical condition that I have. But, people like Lindsey Graham, who has never served, is a chicken hawk. And Ted Cruz is a chicken hawk. So, it's very upsetting to see these members of Congress act so patriotic and, I pledge allegiance, and they kept reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. They're nothing but chicken hawks that rather send our poor individuals into a war that has never been approved by you. So, my message to members of Congress is stop being chicken hawks and be constitutional hawks. Know your Constitution. And, if you're going to send innocent civilians into battle, make sure that it's approved by Congress as stated in the Constitution in the War Powers Clause, not in the War Powers Act. The executive branch has no power. The executive branch has no power. The power in this War Powers Clause rests in Congress. So, as much as I really, hate when they do that, it's just so despicable. But I'm going to take another little break and then come back, and then we're going to continue this discussion of the war Memorial Day, and to honor our fellow civilians in battle. that was the halls of Montezuma, from the shores of Montezuma from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. And this one's a very the reason why I play this song is because Thomas Jefferson sent troops to the shores of Tripoli in Libya and Algeria because Libyan pirates were a threat to our American commercial vessels. But Thomas Jefferson did go to Congress to ask permission to go to war and to give a declaration of war. Now, Congress did not give him an official declaration of war, but Congress was alerted and supported this measure and gave him the funds he needed, as per what per Congress. So this is where it comes. Do we follow the Jefferson Edict or the LBJ Edict of the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, where Congress just gives him a blank check for no apparent reason? Congress just gave him a check. Here, Jefferson went to Congress and asked for a declaration of war and funds. In LBJ's case, and then in George W. Bush's case, he went to war first, and then he got the funds, and then he got the permission. That's not how it's supposed to be done. Like I said, the executive branch does not have any power. The power is with Congress. But the president should never allow troops to go in just like that without congressional approval. I mean, that's our funds going in without approval from Congress saying, oh, yeah, no, we support going into Vietnam. That's fine. Come back in 30 or 90 days, and then we'll discuss it to give you more funds. Until, in 1979, the Congress said, no, we're done. We're not going to give you any more support. And they cut the funding for the Vietnam War. And in April 30th, 1975, that was it. That was the end of that was end of the Vietnam War, because Congress was not going to give any more funds. Well, none of this would have happened if John F. Kennedy would have gone to Congress first and not send 50,000 advisors into Vietnam. He should have gotten approval to send those advisors from Congress from the get-go. But of course, John F. Kennedy, LBJ, Richard Nixon, they sadly are not very constitutionalist, and they don't respect the words of the framers who framed this principal document. And sadly, we've been seeing that on and on and on with Ronald Reagan, with George Herbert Walker Bush, with the first Gulf War, then with Clinton in Kosovo and Bosnia and wherever, in the Middle East as well, with George W. Bush in Iraq and Afghanistan, with Barack Obama in Libya and other places, in Syria, with Donald Trump as well, with Syria, and now with Biden, with Israel and Ukraine. So you cannot give funds just like that. You need to go to Congress and ask permission for those funds. So, and then the ones who suffer in the end are the poor, soldiers that they will die for our country because, they've been called to arms on a unconstitutional war. So I'm going to play a song that this was meant for World War II. It was a war song, and to remind us that we miss our family who are abroad, and then we will be seeing you shortly.
That this heart and mind embraces all day through. In that small cafe cafe, the park across the way, the children's carousel, the chestnut trees, the wishing well. I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you.
That was I'll Be Seeing You, played by Frank Sinatra and Tommy Dorsey. That is a song that was made to our fellow comrades in arms, men and women of the armed forces of the United States, and our allied forces in World War II, a constitutional war. That, I'll be seeing you shortly after this war is over. So here comes another song I want to play to our fellow, to our men and women armed forces, to show support for them, not playing politics whatsoever, but play through the Constitution to support you. And States Rights Radio supports our men and women in arms, not through politics, not through campaignings, but just simply through the Constitution. Here's another one to all our armed forces individuals.
Again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. So will you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
And that was We'll Meet Again by Vera Lynn. To all our members of our armed forces here and abroad, from our American Republic of Sovereign States, armed forces of the United States, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, God bless you for living and past. God bless you. We thank you for your service in fighting these wars. Constitutional or not, you still deserve our respect and our love. So hopefully Congress will see it better to respect the Constitution, and so we will respect it even more. So it all comes down to that. But until then, we respect you and we admire you. Thank you very much for your services. And that's something that I admire about Memorial Day, is that we have to show respect to these fellow men and women in arms who are still living and who have passed. That shows our respect and love. And we must, because they're the backbones of this nation. And they're from all across, from different states. And even though they come from different states, they're still united under one union, the United States of America, the sovereign United States of America, the American Republic of Sovereign States is what we are, and we thank you. And with that note, hope you all have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend tomorrow, Memorial Day tomorrow. Celebrate, thank a soldier, thank a naval soldier, an Air Force, whatever you see, thank them. And when you pass by the cemetery, thank them as well. And with that note, have yourself a wonderful day, and from the week ahead, for State Sovereignty, always, thank you. And good night.